Coming up, it's Friday, and we're back in the inbox.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hey guys, welcome along to Double Tap. It's the final one of the week. Shaun Priest, how are you?
Did you forget the show's actual name there for 1 second? It felt like it. Hello, Stephen Scott. Welcome to Double Tap.
Thank you.
Double Tap.
Rob says it all the time, and so do loads of people on Apple WWDC events. I love hearing Double Tap every so often. When I hear it, I always get very excited. Oh, someone mentioned the show. Not quite.
Yeah.
It's so funny watching some of the commentary. Someone put up a picture of the new Apple liquid glass design on the iPhone. Obviously, they've downloaded the beta and they're trying it out. And the comment was, Steve Jobs would have fired everybody. It must not look very good, Shaun.
Would he? Would he, though? He would have backed it and said, no, this is the way forward. You just don't know it yet. I think that's
you're holding it wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't heard much feedback, to be honest, of the actual looks of it.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Because people are just looking at pictures and they're looking at these images and stuff, and that's fine. But for us, we're kind of losing out on that. I don't mind, if I'm honest. I don't really care. Did hear, though, that there is going to be a toggle to switch all this off under accessibility settings.
Of course there would be.
We kind of expected that. But I think, it was Carrie, I think, brought up the idea of almost having a slider, so you could still have some of the effect, but perhaps, almost like an opacity. Filter or slider, something like that. That would be quite a nice way to do it, because then it means it's not like an all off or all on thing. Because I think there's still some people who might say, well, I still want that idea. I still want it to look that way. I'm talking about low vision people, obviously, here, right?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe struggling with it.
Has transparency ever worked as a user interface? Discuss.
Windows Aero?
Well, that's what I'm
the first
thinking.
thing that comes back to my mind.
The thing is, that blew everyone away at the time. That was the first time we saw graphics like that in an interface. The menu bars were, opaque, if that's the right word, and you could see through them and it was almost refracted. So it's the same sort of thing, but it didn't stay around for very long at all.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't really Windows Aero that was the problem. It was Windows Vista. That was the software, and we all know how long that lasted. I mean, Windows Vista, the worst operating system to ever exist. Until Windows 8 came along. And then Windows we all 8. Said, oh, God, you thought Vista was bad. Wait till you try this.
Was it, though? Was it as bad as everyone says, or was it purely the aesthetic of it?
No, it wasn't the aesthetic. I know people complained about the aesthetic at the time, but I think Windows Vista, I don't know, it just never really cottoned on with people. Windows 2000 came along, XP, that was when things started to get more interesting. There's still people today using Windows XP.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Air traffic control, you hear about this? The whole thing in America with the air traffic control recently, the big hoo-ha about it, and they were saying that apparently computers in there are still running Windows 95.
And what's wrong with that? Was it 3.1? Was there a 98-second edition? Wow, we're going back in time.
There was actually, there was. Windows 98 was kind of cool. I remember that one. That had the kind of cooler looks to it. 95, I remember I was at school when that was a thing. We had one computer in the computer lab. One.
Yes.
Things have changed a lot.
Stephen's computer.
No, I wasn't that into computers. Well, I certainly wasn't into PCs. I was into Macs because at the time when I was at school, it was all Mac, and that's kind of what got me into it.
Posh school, private, obviously.
No, it wasn't. I think they just got them on the cheap.
We won't ask. Okay.
Yeah, don't ask where they came from.
Yeah, we had BBC Micros when I was at school. That's what we used.
I forgot how old you are. Yeah.
Yes, at Computer Club after school, BBC Micro, programming in BASIC. Those were the days. You don't know you're born, you kids.
Yeah, vibe coding and just ask GPT to do it for you. You've no idea the trouble we all went through.
Vibe coding, though, right? That's interesting because you're hearing that thrown around so much now. Vibe coding.
What is that, Shaun Priest?
It's
for those that don't know.
It's what it sounds like. Actually, you're coding, but instead of having to know a programming language like Swift or C or Pascal or whatever it may be, you just tell AI, okay, I want an app to do this. I want it to do A, B, and C, right? Now, it sounds incredibly simple. Build me an app, basically.
Yeah.
Of course, in practice, it's nowhere near as easy as that. But it is close. You don't have to worry about, okay, I need a semicolon at the end of this, nested conditional loop or anything like that. You just say to the... I know, sorry. You say to the AI, I want a function that does this, and it will put out the code for you. So you're coding off the vibe, off the what you want, off the feel.
It's the feels.
So
it's all about the feels.
It's all about the feels, as the youth say. So they call it vibe coding, just telling AI what you want, and it will spit out the actual code for you. Sounds great, and this could be amazing, right? Imagine if you could just say, make me an iPhone app that, gives an accessible iPhone app that gives me access to Double Tap's YouTube channel just in an app on its own, right? You could do that and it could spit it out. Right now, it's not as simple as that. You still need to compile it. You still need to do something with that code. But that's the way it's going. It's really going to change, the face of app creation development.
Yeah, I think if we were to put out an app that was inaccessible, it would be as popular as a Waymo in LA. And I had to actually update that because I had another unpopular just earlier in the week. I honestly, there's so many things changing at the moment politically.
So many things that are unpopular.
I had to update my references very quickly because I was initially going to go for Tesla on the front lawn of the White House, but I decided to change it to Waymo in LA.
Has there been any memes of that yet? With someone photoshopping a for sale sign on the windscreen of the Tesla?
I'm sure of it. Can I ask a question? Why were they setting fire to the Waymo cars? What did the Waymo cars ever do to anybody? I'm so confused by this.
Yeah, I know. They're not Tesla. If people are making the Trump-Musk connection, honestly don't know. I don't know anyone.
It's a Google project, right? But I mean, again, what's Google got to do with it? I don't. It all seemed very strange to me. Why Waymo cars suddenly were being set alight? Was it because they were just empty and they were just driving about?
There's no excuse for that anyway. I don't care if it's empty or not. You don't know what's going to happen with the battery in those things. It could explode. There's a risk of harm to anyone. There's absolutely no excuse for that. Sorry, getting serious for a second, but it's terrible.
I felt for the team behind Waymo there because I thought, unnecessary, and it's a lot of damage. I think, oftentimes these stories are kind of overblown and sometimes the reports are very sketchy, with what's coming out. You have to this is when you really depend on actual news and journalism.
Yes.
Because if you just go with the social media accounts, you would think that, LA was on fire.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, it just wasn't. But, there's clearly a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to get into the politics of that because, I don't know enough about it. But I was reading the reports about the Waymo cars being targeted and I just couldn't really understand why Waymo were getting hit, but
I don't understand it. It makes no sense.
I don't know. So I will say, I think there's some other cool stuff. I did see one thing because there was not much talk. It felt in a way like there was a lot more they could have said about products. Like AirPods, for example, got a lot of updates at WWDC, and they didn't really talk about that. They kind of press released that later. And one thing in particular, which I'm really pleased to hear about, they've got a feature where it's keep audio in headset. It's a new toggle setting that's going to be under the AirPods settings, and it means that when you connect, say, a Bluetooth speaker to your phone, it's not just going to start blasting the audio out of that Bluetooth speaker. Funny story. So I'm on the bus the other day.
Hang on. Why wouldn't you want it to switch over to your Bluetooth speaker?
Well, let's see. I don't know. I mean, it could be for a number of different reasons.
No,
maybe you just want to set up a Bluetooth speaker and you don't necessarily want the audio to blast out of it because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. But you'd still like to set up the thing. And why is it? Can I just say as well, why is it? This really annoyed me.
Yes.
So here I am on the bus the other day. 2 things happened on the bus that annoyed me. One was kind of embarrassing. The other one was just annoying. I'll start with the annoying one.
Oh, okay. Go on.
My Logitech Keys to Go 2, which I think is a brilliant keyboard, had somehow become disconnected from my phone because probably I'd disconnected it.
Yes.
Or, repaired it to something else. I think I may have paired that particular setting. You've got the 3 buttons. You can choose which device you're connecting to.
Yes.
Easy switch, yeah. I think I had paired it to the iPhone, but then I had repaired that to the HumanWare Stellar Trek. So I thought, well, that's simple enough, right? I'll just repair it. No problem.
What?
It's this 6-digit code
that
you get.
Yeah.
And you've got to type that in and then hit enter. And there's clearly a time limit.
Yes.
On doing it. And I have to listen like 3 times to that message to get the number in my mind.
Oh, I am with you, brother.
And don't get me wrong, it's not too bad on the iPhone because the iPhone won't read it as 7,700,000. It reads it like 760,509. But I cannot remember numbers. I just cannot remember sequences of numbers. And especially because you're not just listening to the sequence of numbers, you're listening to the whole, you can now pair your phone by doing this. And, you have to listen to that whole message, then the numbers, then type them in, and I'm on a bus.
Yes.
I mean, a bus. And then hit enter and do all this within an allotted period of time. And if it doesn't work, which it didn't, I cannot seem to get it to pair again. Every time I tried to pair, it just kept saying pairing unsuccessful, pairing unsuccessful.
Yeah.
What's going on here? So the only way to do it was to turn off Bluetooth, which meant that I lost my audio from my Meta Ray-Bans. And this comes to my point, right? So there I am trying to reconnect the audio, reconnect Bluetooth to my, doing all this on the bus. The next minute, my audio has gone, right? No audio coming out of my glasses, no audio coming out of my phone. I am very aware of the voice on my phone being very loud around me.
Right.
Yes, I had connected to the bus's Bluetooth.
No way.
And instead of the radio coming out of the speakers now, it was my voiceover reading out my phone on the bus.
How is that even possible?
I don't know. It must have. No, the bus has, the speakers. It's like a coach, right? And they have these systems where you can listen to the radio, I guess, the speakers everywhere.
Yes.
I don't know if the Bluetooth was just open. It was open. It came up as hands-free. I didn't notice it first. I was trying to connect to Logitech. I thought I double-tapped on Logitech, keys to go to. Instead, I must have hit the hands-free. And suddenly I'm connected to the bus. So everybody in the bus is... because the music went off. And I thought, well, it's gone quiet. And then I could hear my voice.
Yeah, but you're thinking, that sounds weird in these metas. Yeah, okay.
The panic that came across my mind at that moment. Oh,
Switch
my God,
off.
what have I done? So yeah, switch the whole thing off. And, the driver's almost lost control of the bus, try to work out what's going on with this thing. He's trying to get his radio back, Oh, it was ridiculous. I thought, I cannot believe that
as soon as your speed drops under 30 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We could have had some fun with it, but maybe not. But that's terrifying.
That's
right?
incredible.
Like,
But
so there's one reason why I don't want it to switch over right away.
I'll give
Keep
you
the
that.
audio in the headset, please.
I will say that Bluetooth pairing number is such hard work. I've spent at least 30 minutes, 40 minutes sometimes on Windows. On Windows, it's even worse. NVDA,
it is worse.
You got no chance. I got to switch narrator on, then go through, then find the number. And like you say, it's all on a time limit as well. It's like Squid Game or something. The pressure is, wow. But yes, I agree with you.
It's like Squid Game. There's the quote right there. But it is. You do feel like you're doing something. You've not done something right, or something's gone wrong. And and of course, if you can't get it, you have to go through this. Not just the whole process again. I mean, it's one thing if you can just repair, but you can't.
Yeah.
You have to turn the device off. You've got to give it a few minutes because even if you turn it off, it still appears in the list.
That's
right.
right.
Notice that sometimes it just won't go away instantly.
Sometimes, it doesn't seem to catch up or refresh. That's right. Yeah.
So you come back out of Bluetooth and you go back in again, and then you think, oh, well, that'll be, and it's still there. And you think, well, the thing's off.
Oh,
Why is it still there?
whinge.
Terrible.
Oh, aren't we terrible?
You just think, if I'm pairing it, I'm pairing it. I mean, I just don't see why we need this code.
Well, I think the bus speaker system shows why we definitely need a code of some sort.
Well, there was no... Exactly, I could connect to a bus, no problem, but I couldn't connect to a keyboard in front of me, my keyboard. I could connect to a bus without any issue. How does that work? It was so bizarre. This is it. The robots are coming for us, Shaun. They really
You're
are.
doing a lot of bussing lately, Stephen
I like bussing.
Scott. I'm very impressed, I must say.
Thank you. Well, I will say the Move It app is wonderful. I'm going to keep talking about this because I like this app.
I like to move it.
Don't start this again.
Sorry. Carry
Sacha
on.
Baron Cohen, by the way, he was the voice
Of
King Louis III or whoever it was that was in the
King
film.
Julian.
King Julian. Negative Julian.
No, King Negative Julian.
King Negative Julian was in Madagascar. Wow.
Yes. Anyway, what were you saying?
I've no idea, but shall we get some emails?
Yes.
Excellent.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
Ish.
Oh, that was a happy Friday oosh.
Well, one for the weekend.
Oh,
You're
that's
welcome.
what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. I completely forgot all that build-up as well. I was talking of.
no.
In my head, I'd built it all up and I'd planned it.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even mention it. If you've subscribed...
I have.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
To the newsletter?
Yes, I have. I thought I'd better, since I keep telling people to. I did subscribe. Yes.
Can I say I would like to say I subscribed?
What?
But I'm not going to lie to you. Mark Aflalo did it for me. I got a text from him. He's like, I noticed you haven't subscribed yet. I've just subscribed. I was like, okay, fine.
I went through
another email. Pfft, great.
When I heard we were having problems with it, I thought I better go through the forum and email, first name is optional, submit, and it worked straight away. I will say I didn't receive a confirmation email, so
that should be fixed.
Oh, has that been sorted now?
That's been sorted. That's been reported.
Okay. And
in other words, I told Mark.
Well done.
And he's fixing it. He said, I fixed it. I think I know what's wrong, so I think he's sorted out.
Oh, I'll subscribe again then. That'll be my third time, I think.
Stop subscribing.
Well,
You've got it.
I need to check. I want to see if I get a confirmation email. Anyone who's contacted us through WhatsApp, by the way, I have run through and subscribed you, entered your emails, so you should be there.
Well done. Oh, that's nice of you.
Well, you did it as well, Stephen Scott. I won't take all the credit.
Well, I sent it to Mark.
Oh, did you? Oh, well, that's...
Yeah, I didn't do anything. No,
I didn't even think of that. Okay.
Actually, I did not even think about just doing it myself. I could have absolutely done that for everyone.
So easy to do.
I did not even think.
Okay.
Just sometimes 2 + 2 just doesn't equal 5. I told you I'm terrible with numbers. Yeah, but listen, if you do subscribe, you've got access to that feed. Now, I know some of you have had challenges getting access to the podcast feed. That's on me, because one thing I should have done before we published the first newsletter, we have done it for the second note you would have received, is added in a little web page link which you can go to. Very simple. Just go to www.doubletaponair.com/add feed, and that will give you access to information on how you can add the private podcast feed or new podcast, the Double Tap exclusive, to your app of choice, to your device of choice. So whether it be Apple Podcasts, whether it be Overcast, whether it be the Victor Reader Stream or even the Sense Player, there's instructions there on how you can do that. All you got to do is go to doubletaponair.com/add feed, and you've got access to it.
Oh, well done, Stephen Scott. That was all your own research as well. I know you sweated blood on and tears on that
I went through every single app. I went through every single device, because a lot of things have changed over the years.
Yes.
And there was a few resources out there helping me to guide my way towards this, and especially to particular apps. But a lot of the things have changed, so we've made sure that it's up to date as of June this year. So anything changes, do let us know, and we'll keep that web page up to date. And we'll add some more as well. A few people asking about some other apps as well, so we'll continue to update that as we go. But yeah, that's where you'll find out the information at doubletaponair.com/add feed. So I wanted to mention that. But this weekend, you can catch up with me and you talking to Callum Stoneman and Michael Babcock. They're back with us on the exclusive
again
this week. Yes, they're back because they are going to be following up on the conversation we started having about Apple WWDC. We're going to get their take, their hot take.
Oh.
Well, it'll be more of a lukewarm take, I guess, by the time we get to it. But actually, it's a nice conversation because it gives us a chance to, really dig in a bit more on things that we perhaps missed on our hot take that we did straight after the event on Monday. Yeah. So this will be more of a thoughtful, considered. Well, it's none of that stuff. Yeah. But it'll be just the same thing again, but with different people.
Well, there's more information that comes out from the various sessions.
Am I selling it?
Can I just say as well, Stephen Scott, I'm loving the name Double Tap Exclusive. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not the name. We're going to change it. We're going to change it.
No, wait. No. You've said it now. All the way up to this point, you've referred to it as the Double Tap Exclusive. So I think that's it. Well done.
No, I want to change it. I want to change it because, as you will, if you listen to the last one, you will know what we're going to change it to. We're just working on some production.
We better not be.
Oh, yes.
No. No. I'm not happy at all, Stephen. I'm not even joking.
I know you hate it.
Yes,
I don't care. I don't care.
Oh, I see.
Do you hear any care in my voice?
I see how it is. Oh, I see. Okay. Right, fine.
Okay, tell you what, right?
Trample down the masses. Yeah.
Here's this. You could come up with a name.
Okay, Double Tap Off Air. There, done.
That's rubbish.
What do you mean that's rubbish?
And also, that was my idea.
Right, let's move on.
It was.
It wasn't.
I said it first.
When?
I said it first.
I'm so close to swearing right now. You better get a message on. I need to calm down.
Oh, how that Friday feeling has gone.
Yeah.
We've ruined the oosh. Right, let's go to MaryAnn first up.
Hi, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest. This is MaryAnn from Texas. I really enjoy the show a lot. I just listened to your show on May 6th, and I wanted to voice my opinion. I have used the SpeakABoo app, and actually I heard about it on your show. And that app will read written text, handwritten text, and anything on frozen packages, directions, whatever. I love that app. I use it a lot. And I usually use my Sharpie to write things because I have RP, and I will write with my Sharpie. And it's not the clearest, but the SpeakABoo can read it. So that would be great for labeling. Just thought I'd pass that on to you and your other listeners. So anyway, I love you and Shaun together. You're an amazing team. You guys take care, and I'll keep listening. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We love you too. As for him,
Yeah, I'm not talking to him now.
nah, not bothered.
All right, good. I'm not bothered either. SpeakABoo, and you know what?
Off it was my idea.
It still blows my mind that where we are with OCR when it can read handwriting, cursive text. It's incredible. Seeing AI can do it as well. I know I've used it to read, greeting cards in the past. It's, I mean, it's not 100%, of course not. But then I remember not always being able to read people's handwriting anyway. But
yes.
It's still really impressive. It doesn't. It used to be a time when OCR had to be in a certain font of a certain size of a certain print quality.
Yeah,
those days have gone. Yeah, and SpeakABoo does a great job too.
Well, it's just time that it's so timely that we play that message out. That came in, of course, before our interview that we broadcast yesterday with one of the guys behind SpeakABoo, of course, Patrick Burton. You'll heard that interview yesterday on the show. Great to hear you're getting on well with that app. The handwriting thing's interesting. So I had occasion, someone had sent me some bank details, but I don't know why they did this. They sent me a picture of their written note.
Oh, that's
even
worse.
Like, oh, here it is. Here's my bank details. Oh, here we go. And it's not great for that kind of stuff. This is where the challenge is. And that was definitely an Ira moment right there.
Yes.
And what I love is, and I don't know if people are aware of this, but when you've got Ira Explore, is it Explorer or Explorer? I always get mixed up. I think it's Explore, isn't it?
It's got an R on the end.
Is it Explorer? Because
That's how I always call it. I don't know, actually.
Well, I know. Well, you added R's to randomly to everything anyway. You do.
Oh, there's another dig. Okay. No, you carry on, Stephen Scott. That's fine. I'm writing all this down.
Yeah. Tell yourself. Unbelievable. Hello, HR. Yeah, I mean, look, I think this is what's wonderful. I can't speak. What was wonderful about what you can do.
Now, aren't you? Mr. F is listening.
I'm so nervous. Or I need more coffee, one of the two. But no, you can actually upload files. You can upload images into Ira. So when you're making a call, you can say, hey, listen, I've just updated or uploaded this.
Yeah.
Can you reference it? So you don't always have to show something especially if it's on your phone. How do you get it to them so they can see it? Of course, they can share a screen, but it's much easier if you can upload an image. And even if you can't, even if you don't have an image of something, you could just screenshot it and then just share that. So that's pretty cool.
Like I was saying the other day, it's just so cool that it's those tools that they have, the agents have at hand. That was so hard to say. They make all the difference.
You're nervous now, aren't you?
No, I'm not nervous. No, I'm not nervous. It's right. Leave it alone.
Okay, let's move on. Now, the one thing we do want to talk about is...
Wow. Keep it together. Come on.
No, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Okay, it's political and I'll get in trouble. Okay, so let's move on to Kyler because he wants to talk about Lady A and Lady A Plus in particular.
Oh.
Dear Double Tap team, I hope this email finds you well, or at least better than I am trying to navigate the Alexa Plus rollout. As a completely blind user, I must say it feels a bit like being invited to a party where all the fun is happening in a room I can't enter, specifically the Echo showroom. I mean, who knew that the latest and greatest features would be exclusive to devices I don't own? It's like being told there's a buffet but all the food is on the top shelf and I forgot my ladder. I appreciate the innovation, but could we maybe consider a little more inclusivity next time? After all, we blind folks love a good surprise too, just not when it comes to being left out. Thanks for listening to my rant. I promise I'm not just here for the laughs, although they do help. Best, Kyler Golden.
Thank you, Kyler. Nice to hear from you. This is a bit of an ongoing issue, isn't it? But it is coming to those audio devices. It will come. We do know that, right?
It's going to move outside of the show devices. Yeah, definitely will. But when, I don't know. And judging by some of the sort of testing results that I've heard so far, I'm not entirely convinced it's going to be anytime soon. There's still a lot of issues there. So
what are you hearing? Because I haven't really followed many reviews of this. I mean, what are people saying?
Firstly, the rollout is incredibly limited, it seems, the amount of people that's actually getting the ability to test this out. And secondly, it's just not that great. I mean, it's just the hallucinations, everything all the other AI suffers with. But when you think about the platform that it's on, when you're talking about your smart speaker, those hallucinations aren't really that acceptable. You know, getting the answer to a question wrong, okay, you could forgive that, maybe, but that kind of undermines it. But when you're talking about trying to control smart devices, smart home, you can't get that wrong. Routines and things like that. Now, as far as I know right now, they don't even have the ability to control smart devices with the Plus. And it's still almost a separate app. I mean, it just seems like a mess. Again, though, right, this is testing, so they're allowed to have this at the moment. But I just thought we would have seen this rolled out by now.
Yeah, I have heard about this with the smart thing, because basically it's like you're going into an experience. It's actually exactly like Kyler. Yeah, exactly. It's like Kyler says, it's a room that's locked off at the minute. But actually, even when you get access to it, it's still a room you have to go into, which is separate from everything else. So if you want to action like your heating or your lighting, you're going to have to come out of that function in order to use it. And that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel... I mean, I can understand why they're doing that, because they'll say, well, we're going to build towards... But, in the meantime, we do have to serve... the audience who have the existing Echo devices with the existing
Well,
ADA.
it's not ready then, is it? I'm sorry.
No, I mean, to me, it should be able to do both. Both of them should be able to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Just one's a more enhanced version, a more enhanced responsive version. That's kind of what we're looking for, right? I don't want to have to live in two camps. That would be...
All I need
nonsense.
to ask is one question, and that is, turn the heating on for 1 hour. If it can do that, I'm happy. Because it's able to access, external smart home devices. It could do that. That's one thing. It can also, put two commands together and understand that I want to turn it off after an hour.
Yeah.
That without having to write a routine first. And, it just seems so basic at the minute. But right now, that still seems a million miles away. And that...
Well, that's assuming your thermostat's still going to be accessible to you at that time, right? I mean, that's the other issue.
There's strike number 3, Stephen Scott.
Well, I was trying to be nice.
You can only push me so far.
I was saying it's a fact. You told me I was on your side.
Oh, were you? Okay, I take that back. Thank you very much. Yes, October, remember, the Google Nest thermostats Gen 1 and 2 will no longer work with your smart speakers. Just putting it back out there.
So touchy. And then the one sitting with a bee in the room, right? I mean, there's a bee buzzing around my head all the time around here. What? It's not in my head. It's actually here.
Is it in your bonnet? Next email,
I'll
please.
Give you that. I'll give you that one. We'll take a short break first.
Oh.
You and I are going to have words.
This is Double Tap. We'll be right back.
Thanks to our friends at Hable, Double Tap listeners get 15% off the Hable One and Hable Easy, but only for a limited time. The Hable One makes navigating your phone faster, easier, and more private with a tactile Braille keyboard that fits in your pocket. It's perfect for writing texts, using apps, and keeping your phone tucked away with a full month of battery life. Or go with the Hable Easy, the simple remote for people who don't want to mess with complicated gestures. Big, clearly labeled buttons make it easy to do the basics, open apps, send messages, and use voice commands. No steep learning curve, no frustration, just tech that works. Get your 15% discount now at doubletaponair.com/Hable.
This is Double Tap. Now, back to the show.
All right, let's get back into the emails and messages, and this is a rather poignant one for us.
To the Double Tap team. Hey there. I wanted to chime in on your ongoing debate around blind versus sighted perspectives. As someone who has lived on both sides of the fence, though admittedly my time as a sighted person was with only about 5% vision, that's roughly 2,400 in American terms, I feel like I can offer a grounded take on the matter. Let's get one thing straight. Seeing is not a crime. In fact, it's kind of helpful, massively so. For starters, vision speeds things up. These days, we celebrate how AI helps us work faster and smarter. Well, guess what? Even minimal vision does the same. It helps you move through the world more efficiently and independently. Secondly, no one ever asks a fully sighted person, how do you manage your life? But blind folks, we get that question all the time. That alone says a lot about the inherent challenges of navigating the world without sight. And let's be honest, would you rather be rich and healthy or poor and sick? Exactly. Same logic applies here. Vision isn't mandatory for happiness, but it sure makes a lot of things easier. Now, I'm not here to rain on anyone's parade. Blindness isn't a moral flaw, but let's not turn it into a superpower either. It's a barrier, one we learn to deal with, sometimes thrive despite, but a barrier nonetheless. The world isn't designed for blind people and probably never will be entirely. Accessibility is improving, yay, but pretending that blindness is a neutral or even advantageous state is just, well, not realistic. And context matters. In a tech-equipped city with decent infrastructure, blindness can be manageable. But if you're in a remote village in the jungle with no internet, no resources and no training, that's a whole different ballgame. Try telling someone in that situation that blindness is a gift. Let's be real here. If blindness were such a wonderful thing, blindness organizations would be offering free eye removal services and people would be lining up around the block. But they're not, because most people, deep down, know that sight is an advantage. It's called common sense. I totally get folks who are born blind and feel like it's just part of who they are. That makes sense. But that perspective is niche, not mainstream. If we want society to understand and accept us, we also need to understand where they're coming from. Am I unhappy? No. In fact, I've achieved most of the important things in my life while completely blind. But would I prefer to have full sight? Absolutely. Would I feel miserable if that never happens? No. But I'd still choose vision over blindness any day. Vision gives you safety, speed, and independence. You don't have to rely on tech or people for every little task. You move faster, farther, and with fewer logistical headaches. In short, everyone has the right to be happy, but no one's obligated to enjoy every situation. Happiness is personal, but facts are facts. Sight is a powerful tool, and pretending otherwise doesn't do anyone any favours. I'm not against blindness, I'm just pro-sightness. Hope that does not offend anyone. If so, blame ChatGPT. Warm regards, my formal sightness.
Wow.
I cannot disagree with one word there.
No, neither can I.
I'm kind of worried you're going to go on a blind pride rant, but
I don't think I need to.
Well, okay.
I feel it's kind of there. I mean, look, I've said everything about this before. I think what I'm pleased to hear is other people having their say on this issue as well, because I think oftentimes, again, I go back to this point about the one true opinion approach that you see from a lot of organizations and individuals who want to push this narrative that, you know, blind pride is the thing that will get us all through. You know, being blind, you can do anything you want. I hate that phrase. No, I can't. You know, I've said it many times. I'd be a bus driver tomorrow if I could. That would be my job, because I just always wanted to be a bus driver. Can I be a bus driver? No. So I can't do anything I want. Can I? And just don't be ridiculous.
You
be
can.
commonsensical about it. That's what I say.
Stop limiting yourself, Stephen Scott. If you want to be a bus
I think
driver,
the
you just need to work hard.
I think the passengers might disagree when they see me get my guide dog out, you know. And
we're here. We've arrived at Blind Pride Rant Corner. I just don't hear many people saying that. I don't disagree that there are people out there who say you can do absolutely anything, or that
there are organizations, Shaun. That's exactly what their line is. That's their line. You know, it's like, you know, I hear it from the NFB in the States all the time. You know, blind people can do anything. That's on their marketing pretty much.
Yeah, but does it necessarily mean, are you just being too, you know, semantic there? What?
I think you just have to temper. I think you have to be realistic, because the problem is, let's be honest.
No, wait. It's trying to temper the expectation, the low expectations, the bar that's being set so low by the mainstream that we can do nothing.
Yeah,
it's almost fighting back.
You don't do that. You don't do that by then come out with something like that, saying that blind people can do everything. And then most people are going to turn around, most sensible people are going to turn around and say, exactly. They're going to say, no, but they can't. Because, you know, blind people can't be a pilot. Blind people can't be a bus driver. Blind people can't be this.
Blind people can't live on their own. Blind people can't raise children.
But that's exactly,
blind people can't work.
It feeds into all that, doesn't it? Because if you're saying to somebody, if your advocacy is to say that blind people can do anything, which is not true, because we can't, then you're just feeding into the narrative, because all you're going to do is create a debate out there that says, but blind people can do anything they want. Sure.
Good. Create a debate. Debate is good. Okay, let's argue about what we can do.
And is that what's happening in the mainstream? Am I seeing that debate in the
Yes,
mainstream?
all
No.
the time. I can't turn
Where
on
are
the
you seeing
TV without the yeah, maybe not. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem, right? It's just. Look. Of course, I want to raise people up, right? That and NFB in particular, I know that's what they're all about, and I know that because I've been at the NFB events. I've had the privilege of being
God
at their
bless
convention.
you, Plant Pot Man.
Absolutely, and and it was a privilege to be there actually, because it was. And I hate the word inspiring, but it was, to me, as somebody who was coming to terms with it all, to see all these blind people just getting on with it and taking charge of their own lives.
These blind people. Oh, dear. Okay.
What was wrong with that?
I don't know. It's just too close to the blind for my liking, but okay.
Well, what are they?
They
were blind people in the room. What should I call them?
You could call them just blind people.
Okay, so the blind people in the room, right? Does that work for you? So, the blind people in the room are, doing what they can. I'm sorry, I thought I was being praising of these people, right?
Blind people. I'm not sure I like that term at all.
Right. You're taking this to the nth degree here. You're trying to push me in a way that's just never going to go. So, look, I was so inspired by them because at that time I was going through it myself and I was kind of thinking, that inferiority complex, all that stuff that becomes part of who you are as a person when you're going through sight loss, right? And then you see all these guys and girls walking around just doing what they do, and actually the line that NFB uses, and a public line they use is live the life you want. Yeah. Which I think is brilliant. I love that. That's exactly it, right? But don't go further than that. Just don't go further. And I'm not picking on NFB. There are other organizations around the world that use the same line. There are individuals who use the same line. And look, it's been well known that blind people will stand up on a stage and say, we can do anything we want. That's not true. That's the bit I push back on. And I think temper those expectations a little bit for us as a community. And if we want to be taken seriously in the world, we have to be seen as serious.
I think you're just being far too picky there. Of course, no one takes everything at face value of I can do absolutely anything I want. Well, of course, no one can. There's limitations on whatever, be it disability, be it your life, whatever is your reality of your experience of where you are in the world or whatever it may be. I think it's just inspirational, aspirational. No?
Well, again, we can agree to disagree because on this show you can agree to disagree.
Good.
Unless it's you, of course.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I'll get my coat. Sorry. But on the whole, I totally agree with you. Of course, I see blindness as disability is a word I have absolutely no problem with at all because it's what it is. It is exactly what it is. Blindness is a disability. Of course, everyone I think the majority of people would prefer to be sighted. It makes life easier and everyone wants that.
Now you're getting into hot water, right? Because you're saying, well, the majority of people, we don't know, right? It's all individual.
No, of course not.
It's all individual. And, it could be the case there are many people who will be listening who will say, well, I disagree. And many people will say they agree. That's fine. This is my point. There's no one true opinion on this. Yeah, but the important thing is everyone gets their say. And I think we are probably the only place on earth that gives you the chance to have that say and not be tackled to the ground for it because you're not falling in line with whatever the blind mafia have decided we're going to be using this week as word of the week.
All right. Yes. Okay. Basically, I agree with everything that was in that email. Next.
Let's move on to Nicole. It's very, very prickly all of a sudden. What's going on? I feel good today. Right. Here's Nicole.
Hello. It's Nicole calling from Saskatoon. Hey, I just wanted to pass on something that I've just become aware of. When I take a taxi, so I've got notes attached to my file that ask the driver to come in and let me know that he's there, right? So I've just realized that they start their meter before they come inside, and so the waiting charges, they're called, are anywhere from I just noticed 75 cents to $1.50 added to the trips that I've had receipts for. And that also I would think would depend on, because some drivers don't read the notes and they just sit there. So I'm thinking that the waiting charges could add up really substantially. So to everyone who is blind, who is using taxis, please be aware of this. I just called the company that I use, and she said she would check in with her fleet manager to see if they're allowed to do that. Technically, the meter shouldn't start until the butt is in the seat. That's what she said, but these drivers are apparently doing something different. So she's going to check into that and get back to me on it. So just wanted to pass that along, a heads up, FYI. Okay, thank you everyone for Double Tap. It's wonderful to listen to this podcast, and I really appreciate everything that you do. Okay, take care everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nicole. Appreciate it. Yeah, there you go. And this is another thing, isn't it? Sometimes we've talked about this before in many different forms, where sometimes, you know, people try and get an extra dollar out of us one way or another through services. Oh, he's being contrary today, so let's see. Okay, come on. What are you being contrary about with this? I feel like someone's going to call up and say black, and you're just going to shout white, and that'll be it.
Do you know what? I just thought all taxis did that anyway. That they turn up, they're waiting for you. If you're not outside ready to jump in the door, meter's running. I just assumed that was a thing. I thought that was the way it was meant to go.
Not to my experience, no. I mean, I think if you, the only time I've ever experienced it is on a wait and return, as you would call it. So if you ask the taxi to take you somewhere, wait on you and then bring you back.
I've had one wait for 3 hours outside Manchester Eye Hospital before. Yeah, of course I expect to pay then.
What was the bill on that one?
It was about £75, I think.
That's not bad, actually.
No, actually, it was all right rather than... anyway, but shouldn't you... Look, I think I know friends of mine that call a taxi and they're still getting ready as it's outside, and they seem. I'm always hyper alert. Right, come on, there's a taxi. Come on, let's go. He's waiting. But there's people out there who are just he'll wait. Get the kettle on. So I don't know where I sit on this one. I just assumed they were allowed to do that.
I think if you're, I mean, I suppose there's I think there's a fairness factor in this.
Of course there is. Yeah, that's
right.
Like
if you said, well, the taxi, can you wait for 10 minutes? I mean, look, the classic for me is, and I find this a lot with my local taxi company, you'll book a taxi, and that's why I tend to do that, because we're in a small village, taxis are not that available, so I tend to book in advance. If you book, say, a car for 11 o'clock, I can see them turning up at 1:45.
Yes.
And unlike you, at that moment, I'm just ready to go. I'm like, okay, let's just go. But then I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, I booked you for 11 o'clock.
I do that. If I've booked it and they turn up early, and usually they'll ring me or something, I'll say, oh, sorry, I'm not ready. I did book it for here. And I don't expect the meter to be running then, because they're early.
That's right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, okay, that's a tricky one though, but it is something you should be aware of. Yeah, you should always check that.
That's the point, isn't it? It's good to know. And every taxi company will have their own way of doing this. Some don't have the control over it. Sometimes it's set by whatever system they use. Yeah. I know, for example, council-based taxis are different in terms of the tariff and the charge they use. But yeah, waiting time, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Nicole.
If it's a company-wide policy, it's different, I think, isn't it? If it's just to blind people, okay, we're not for that. That'd be my view.
Well, and there's also, if you do have a disability and it takes you longer to actually get to the car, I mean, you shouldn't. Again,
that's a fairness factor, isn't it? That's the driver to say, "Oh, I'm not going to charge waiting time for that." That's unfair.
Of course not.
No. But again, I think sometimes it's a conversation. Communication. With all this tech, I find communication has gone. Like, it's so funny. I get into a taxi, an Uber actually. I think I can't remember where I was, but I was somewhere, and I got into an Uber, and I just booked it. I didn't really look at much of the detail. I just booked it, went through the process, and I chose comfort because I'm doing all right. So, I thought I'll choose comfort. And so it cost like £1 difference.
Yeah,
it was nothing.
All right.
So I thought, okay, fine.
Rockefeller here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so there I am sitting in the comfort car, and the driver, I'm like, nice day. And he's like, mm-hmm. And I'm like, not very talkative. And then I realised that I had selected the quiet preferred option. So he was terrified to speak, the poor guy. He wouldn't speak to me.
You were trying to catch him out.
And the thing was, it was freezing in the car, and I obviously asked it to be cool as well. So I was freezing the poor guy to death and also making him sit silent. God, what a horrible person I am.
Awful. No wonder you only got 1 star. Oh, such a diva, Stephen Scott.
I know. Where's my bottle of water? I demand it immediately, which, by the way, I think they charge you for.
What? That's a disgrace.
Someone told me that the other day. They said, they charge you for the water. I'm like, I thought that was for free.
My Uber rating is only 4.98.
Oh.
Why is that? Why am I not 5 stars, Stephen Scott?
You talk too much. That's probably what it is.
I'm friendly.
Nah, that's the problem. See, some people don't
They
want that.
love a bit of banter. Oh,
No,
with the
some
Shaun.
people don't.
Oh, they love that. Okay.
Yeah, you know, small doses. And of course, maybe it was the guy you trapped the fingers in the car. Maybe it was him that
Yeah,
knocked you down a few
apparently.
peg or two.
It's still red underneath my fingernail, that.
Is it?
My daughter told me the other day, so...
It's always nice to bring something back.
Well,
from
just
a
expect
trip,
a
isn't it?
claim, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Right to Uber. See how that goes on. Right, let's move on to Scout.
Good evening, Double Tappers. I just finished listening to the interview with Connor about the RNIB Braille transcription service being discontinued. Yes, I know I am a yank, but hear me out. Please. I heard Laura read Matt's letter in response about expanding some services and shrinking or ending others. Stephen, you make a valid point about the organisation being different if it were led by a blind person instead. However, with the changes I am seeing here from the government down to the rest of us, I'm seriously concerned that maybe the RNIB was influenced by the government there to make some sweeping changes due to budget cuts. I know Matt hates to have to be the bad guy, but being at the top warrants such responsibility. I agree that the change happening so fast and not telling your support staff, meaning the helpline, as they are your front line with customers, was a bad misstep. We, both here and there, all have concerns about services, or Braille itself being diminished, or going away, and rightly so, but my concern is not for our generation, or even my kids' generation who are in their 30s, but rather my grandchildren's generation. I honestly fear by the time they need services, we will have been reduced to being shut-ins as a whole, or will have gone back to institutionalising our and many other disabled communities. With all that said, I know having certain materials converted into Braille for all of the various Braille readers is hugely helpful, and I understand Braille music cannot be read on a 20-cell display, and a 40-cell would be way too heavy to tote around for that purpose. Percentage-wise, I wonder how much gets converted for our electronic devices versus is printed on actual paper. I appreciate the ideas behind the new, larger Braille display, but I wonder if making them light, much less affordable, will come too late for any meaningful use by our community as a whole. Thank you, Laura, for all your reading of our comments and rantings. You are much appreciated. I would love one day to hear your take on all of this, though you are sighted. I cannot help but believe this affects you simply by having to read all of it. What are your takes on all of our goings-on?
Well, there's no PS on that one.
Oh,
There's no side
waiting.
note from Laura, sadly. Oh, that would have been interesting. Yeah. We should maybe try and get Laura on at some point. That'd be nice to hear.
An
from
interview with Laura?
her. Yeah.
People still think she's an AI, so I don't know.
Yeah, we wouldn't believe it.
We'll make that happen.
Fake news.
Difficult choices, decisions when it comes to funding in every single organisation, government department, every aspect of life. It seems like for the last... how many years it seems like people have been making decisions that are unpopular due to funding. And I agree, Matt's got a really difficult job there. But the big thing at the RNIB, excuse me, decision when it comes to Braille was the lack of communication, as you flagged up there. I just think that was so mismanaged that it highlights the problem, and it just makes it seem even worse that it's almost like it doesn't really matter affair. And it does affect people, even if it's a small amount.
Yeah, and I don't think that it would be fair to say that the RNIB had any influence by what's going on in the US. I don't think that's a fair thought at all. I don't think there's any involvement or even connection there.
It's a bit of a
to be perfectly
stretch, I
honest.
would say.
It's an opinion, and
I can
you're
see
welcome
the
to
connections because of the...
Well, there's definitely a mood shift.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And being disabled is becoming more challenging, and it will, I think, become more challenging to the extent that we all end up back in institutes. Obviously, I hope that never happens. Do I think about it? Do I fear it? A little bit, if I'm honest. I am a little bit concerned about where things are going and where attitudes are going. And it's like sometimes it feels like we're just kind of playing around while Rome burns. We're kind of dreaming of all this future with AI and technology and all of that. But meanwhile, overall attitudes are just, I wouldn't say they're getting worse. I think that the problem is that people, like with racism and with sexism, it was already there. People just didn't talk about it. They didn't bring it out in public. Now it seems it's okay to be racist and sexist in public for some people, to at least show that side of themselves.
People feel empowered.
Yeah, they feel empowered to do it, which of course is wrong. But
Common sense will prevail in the end. It always
Oh
does.
my God, I so wish you're right. But I mean,
It will.
I cannot live in that world.
It may take 50 years,
I don't.
but it will.
Yeah, I don't live in that world. I really don't. I think that, I think we're through the looking glass, and I think social media is the fault of all of this.
Oh.
It's made people so selfish and so self-centered and so focused on them and me. I saw a great video, and it was an AI-generated video. It was around the VO3 from Google when it was launched, and it was a video showing the apocalypse and influencers reacting live, like on their smartphones and it's like, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I think this is a good time to talk about diversity, and it's like, the whole world is on fire behind them, and it's I think this is the problem. Again, identity, I don't agree with the identity politics approach to things. I think we have to see ourselves as individuals. I think we have to see ourselves as people first. I think that's how things begin to change. The problem is with the politicization, with using social media to divide people. Politics, everyone wants to blame a politician or an individual person. This has been on the cards for a long time. The seeds were sown long before Donald Trump walked down an escalator. So this has been going on for a long time. And, it's like, people who say to me when they talk about Mastodon being the place, the nirvana for social media. And I'm like, no, it's not. It just isn't. It's just as toxic as anywhere else because there's people there. People can be toxic. And on social media, they can allow themselves to be something they wouldn't necessarily be in public. The challenge is, and I remember having this conversation, I think with you maybe 5 years ago, where I said there's going to be a shift. There's going to be a shift that will come. You're going to have people online with their personas, and then those personas are going to become real life. They're going to start to, essentially emblemize those personas into existence. So it's not going to be something they're just going to be keyboard warriors anymore. They're just going to say nasty things on the internet, faceless ghouls going around the internet saying horrible things, trolling. Now they're just going to go out and say it in public. And I feel that's where we're at now. We're at the stage where people are just saying those things out loud. And it seems to be okay, or they're doing it under the guise of, well, I can say anything I want, so therefore. Yeah, do you know what? I'm for free speech, okay? I'm all for free speech. But what I'm also for is for some personal responsibility. Have a think about what you're saying, the impact it actually has.
And what if they do?
Stop thinking actually think about other people,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
You know what they say in life, though, Shaun? If it doesn't happen to you,
yes.
It's not an issue affecting you.
Yes. Yeah. What?
I can't remember the rest of it. But yes, it's, very important.
Everything's going to be fine. There you go. Just keep whistling that tune and burying your head in the sand.
Emails, we get emails. Hey, listen, I think we should end on a positive note because you've made this a horrible experience this hour. Yes, so I'm going to end with Sharon, who's got some lovely things to say.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun and Laura. Hope you're all doing well. After listening to your show on Friday and the first email from the chap who was given negative comments for the course and role he was going for, once again, it is very disheartening to hear people's negativity towards visual impairments. My advice to any of your listeners is to never ever let anybody tell you cannot. I remember when I was applying to universities to study law, on one application I was told by an unkind person from a university they did not believe somebody who is partially sighted could and would be able to read all the books for a law degree. I was so shocked and on the floor, but once I had picked myself up, I went on to successfully do a law degree. So much for people not being able to read. That the attitude to visually impaired people still is never-ending with regards to employment and education, there really is no justifiable excuses anymore with technology and our brains. Yes, breaking news, as you would state, we do have brains. There will always be one group who need educating about blindness, and that is fine. There is then the other group who will always discriminate as they think they just can, and we will never get through to them. So as you have stated before, Stephen, it is up to us how we deal with it. Yes, we will all have our bad days, but for every bad person, you will meet a good one. I really hope that chap succeeds and always have self-belief in yourself. That is the one thing that will ensure you will eventually achieve. You get there. One of the truest things you have stated before, Shaun, is we are humans, and being visually impaired is just a condition we live with. Take care of yourselves and keep believing in yourself. Kind regards from Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. So you brought us all back together again. That's nice.
I love you, Stephen.
I love you, Shaun. Ugh, that's disgusting.
I feel bilious.
I need a drink after that. Wash my mouth out with soap.
Thank you. That was such a nice email. Well said.
It was. And like I say, blind people can't do everything, but we can do things. And we are human beings first, and we have brains. Blind people have brains.
Well, most of us.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you don't, Stephen. That's the trouble.
I've still got a minute of this, by the way, just so you know.
Wait, well, let's just sit here in silence for this last minute.
Let's
and think about what
reflect
you've
on
done.
everything. Yeah. What I've done? What have I done?
This has been a terrible episode, and it's all on your shoulders. That's all I'm going to say. You just made this feel nasty. I'm so sorry, listeners. We're going to be better next week.
No, we're not.
No, probably not.
Be exactly the same.
Everyone have a good
We've
weekend,
become
though.
a bickering old couple. That's what we've become. Divorce is in the post. One thing a blind person can do: get divorced. Well, listen, we are out of time for today. Don't forget to check out the extra podcast, which will have a brand new name by the time it arrives.
No, it won't.
Oh, I can't wait for that. This is what started all this. You
I
don't
know,
like that
exactly.
name.
Disgusting.
You're really upset about this name.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll get to that. Maybe on the episode. You never know. Check it out on the private feed over the weekend. And if you're having any issues getting access to it, remember, go to the website, doubletaponair.com/add feed and get the information on how to add the private URL you've got in your newsletter into your app or device of choice. Secret. We shall catch you on Monday. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.